It's great to see you again.
Thanks. All right, so it looks like we are rocking and rolling. Hello, friends. How is everyone doing? Jacque Howard here of the Trenton 365 show. And yes, we're in a different location. I'm broadcasting from my home. Excuse me. So, broadcasting from home has its advantages and its disadvantages, of course, but this is the state that we are in. So I'm going to be doing this for the near future, and you'll get a chance to see different parts of my house. You'll be able to see artwork and things like that that are over my back shoulder. It is definitely a mess in here right now, but we are working on getting it cleared up. I promise. So, with that being said, I want to tell you that tonight I'm super excited because I've got one of my favorite people who's not necessarily across the table from me, but you'll be able to see him if you can't see him now. I've got author Rashad Malik Davis, and Rashad and I met each other several years ago through a really good mutual friend, Eric Thomas. So big shout out to Eric Thomas of the Regis Entertainment fame. And once Rashad and I met, it was like a true kinship, a gathering of sorts. And then I started to fall in love with all the work and his artwork and his books. And my family's got a chance to meet him as well. It's just this wonderful relationship that I hope that we continue to grow and more people can experience the kind of relationship that I have with Rashad. And I encourage you to be able to get that as well. So without any further ado, I've got Rashad Malik Davis, the author here. What's up, man?
What's going on? Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Oh man, it's always awesome to see you. And us being extroverts, it's kind of tough this time of the year. When the weather's changing, it's getting dark out fast, and all those things. And then on top of that, you've got COVID. But
Yep.
there's always something that we can keep in mind with that is that we can always let our imaginations go by reading and creating. Hey, that's it. So I want you to jump right into it, Rashad, and talk about what the last year has been like for you as far as being an author and an illustrator.
Man, so the past year, just as a human being has been like what, like my sense of time has just completely been almost not erased, but it's been distorted for sure. But particularly as an artist and a creator, I have I swing, like I have my moments where I'm just like I'm feeling very motivated, I'm feeling very excited to be creating because I'm not really dealing with a whole lot of outside stimulus
Mhm.
or stimuli, but at the same time, I'm dealing with the emotional turmoil of a global pandemic, sickness, police brutality, like all of the things that are happening, not just nationwide but globally. So it's been mainly a really productive time, but there have been moments where I've just had to let it all go and really just kind of protect my mental health more than my desire to create.
Mhm. Now, I don't want to get too much into what's forthcoming, like with the election and stuff like that. I
Yeah,
just I just want to stay I want to stay focused on you
sure.
and the work that you're doing and
Yeah,
the impact that you're making on lives. And
thank you.
folks, I say this and I get warm in my heart because I see children when they meet Rashad or when they're at a class or when he's teaching them about superhero characters of drawing them. It always warms my heart to see these children, some of which have an experience in art, some of which who don't, but just to see them get excited about it. So Rashad, let's just kind of go off in that vein for a little bit and talk about some of the things that you have been doing as far as with the Princeton arts community, also with artworks, etc.
For sure. So, the biggest or the hardest part for me at this time is really been the lack of physical community that we've been able to have. And I didn't realize how important that was to me until, we didn't have that. And I was like, oh my God. But still, I've been able to manage to still do readings, to still do events where I'm doing live drawing demonstrations and having kids and adults watch along and chat with me. So, with the with the Princeton Arts Council, the West Windsor Arts Council, and then Artworks as well. I've been teaching, and with artwork specifically, I did a small it was like a 3-day long project where I was teaching them how to create a character and put them in a background, which was a lot of fun. And then I went on to teach at Shiloh Baptist Church. Actually, I did a character design project with them. And then with the West Windsor Arts Council, I'm going to be teaching an animation course
Mhm.
coming up this winter. And then I'm in the middle of teaching a character design course now. And with the Princeton Arts Council, I just did an outdoor chalking event that was so much fun. Like had a whole bunch of people come, and this was the one time where I felt more recently the community, the energy of the community behind me. Because as I was drawing, people were walking up and commenting, being like, "Hey, that's really beautiful. Like, who are you? What are you doing?" And it really reminded me of how community driven and community based art really is.
Rashad, that's interesting that you say that, right? About the community and feeling that energy.
Yeah,
I think, we're always bombarded with so much negativity that I think it's easy for us to forget those things. And
yeah,
then to see that, you felt it, like you could
yeah.
feel it and people were even commenting on it. And again, all those children were there and they were learning and experiencing and having these good times as well. Let's transition and talk about your book series.
Yes.
Um, all right, so I'm gonna stop getting all giddy and stuff like that. So let's talk
I
about
love
your
it. I love it.
let's talk about your book series, right? The idea behind it, and then kind of like take your time, but I want you to bring us up to where we are today.
Yes. So, that project started for a myriad of reasons, but the main, I would say the overarching mission of my book series was to really engage children, and specifically boys, because I feel as if boys are not encouraged to delve into their emotional lives. And oftentimes it's kind of at the detriment of themselves where, you'll stifle a lot of your feeling. And so I wanted to create a book series where the main character was male and black. And his best friend was female and South Asian, and they go on this amazing fantasy adventure. So the storyline is that two best friends who are bored magically get pulled into another universe by mistake, and they're stuck there until they can heal the emotions of 7 different characters. So each character that they meet represents a different ancient civilization, a different ancient culture, a different emotion, and a different chakra in the Buddhist or Hindu system, religious system as well. So each time they kind of level up and they help a hero with their emotions, they move on, they unlock kind of like a video game to the next level in order to get out of this world. So it's teaching kids about empathy, emotional literacy, and specifically like why our differences really make us beautiful, and why being different is so valuable and what that means.
Mhm. And I'm glad you laid it all out that way because I want folks to realize that when you see these books, there's going to be something that you're going to feel that's different about these books, and we're going to get into that in just a moment. And I think that it's because Rashad is also the illustrator, which is super cool. but the cultural identities that you go through this series of books. Can you share why that was so important, and talk about some of the different ones that are highlighted currently?
Sure. Yes. Currently, right. So I'll give you a perfect anecdote. So the first school that I ever read my book at, I finished reading and the kids were like, "Oh my God, we need more," which was the best. But what struck me at the end was that I told them, I was like, each book is based on a different culture, and the kids raised their hand and they were like, "Do you have a story about a kid from Guatemala? Do you have a story about a kid from Nicaragua? Do you have a story about a kid from Jamaica? What about from Ghana? How about from Haiti?" And at that point, I was like, these kids want to see themselves, like they want to know that they matter, that their stories matter, that their lives matter. And so that kind of representation, that kind of reward for my writing and for my storytelling, that that can't be beat by anything. Like there is no amount of money that can match that feeling of making somebody feel seen. And so right now, the first, well, in order, the books are from Egypt and like a fantasy Egypt. It's Egypt, it's Mexico with the ancient Aztecs or the Mexica. The third one is going to be in it's going to be in Honda. Dynasty China. I need to no, Ming Dynasty China. The fourth one is in Europe. It's with the Druids in like Ireland and Celtic lore. The next one is in Greece, and then one of the last ones that I have listed so far is in India. So it's very exciting. I'm very excited.
Now, you know what I always like is when I can spend some time with creatives and hear some of the backstories about, you know, how this all came apart. And, you know, when you talk about your books, the characters,
Mm.
let's go into a little bit about the two main characters and the real world connection.
Yes, yes. So both Amir and Nina are based on me and my best friend of about like 21 years now, which is insane to even say out loud. But Amir is very much like me. He's very hard on your sleeve. He's very emotional. He's very sensitive. But that gets him into trouble because he'll think with his heart first and not his head, and sometimes that gets you into some messes. Whereas Nina, his best friend, she's very type A. She's very logical. She's very like, if it doesn't make sense, I'm not gonna do it. But being that rigid also gets you into trouble. So they kind of complement each other, and they really assist each other. And both Amir and Nina are really like me and my best friend of 21 years. I'm the emotional one. I'm very much like, oh my God, I have to think with my heart first. And then Nina comes in being like, no, like let's think about this. Let's plan it out. And that's just how we've operated. And I thought that would make a really fun dynamic in the children's book.
Well, I'm going to give a real world example. At one of your previous events at the Princeton Arts Council, I got a chance to meet the person who is actually behind Nina. And
Yes.
I can tell you that very assertive personality. And I can totally see from knowing both of you exactly what you're talking about. Now,
Right.
now, you know, when you had mentioned like the different cultures that are in your books,
Mhm.
you go into some very specific cultural references, and it's almost like they're written from that perspective to
Mm.
provide proper respect to those cultures. Can you
Yes.
just talk about that dynamic?
Yeah. So, with particularly with the second book, because
Mhm.
culture is a living thing. It's not something that dies. Even if it changes, the culture is always constantly ebbing and flowing and moving. And so even though I was writing about an ancient people, for example, the Aztecs or the Mexica, their descendants are still very much alive and are still very much practicing their ancient traditional life ways. And so for me, to dive into that and to really create a world based on this group of people required me to do the proper respect and read books, long tomes just about who they were and about who, what their beliefs were, how they operated in the world, and then working with people from that culture to write appropriately. And honestly, the best compliment that I got, from the Mexica, the people who came and performed um, at the show was they said, we really wanted, we forgot it at home or something like that, but we really wanted to sage you in this book, to just really bless you because you're doing something that's really incredible. And I was like, to be thanked by the people of that culture is huge.
Mhm.
And that's again one of those things that I can't get from money.
Mhm. And it's awesome. And I think about it in the dynamic of where we are as a country, as a world in 2020, and to know that locally that culture is represented here.
Right, right.
And what kind of emotions are they going through? What kind of thoughts are they going through about what they're seeing
Yeah,
in this adopted homeland?
right, right. Like,
Yeah. Um,
yeah.
Yeah, I do want to kind of stay on topic. You know, maybe we ought to just do a show where I'm just kind of like just vibing out and we're just hanging out. There's a
Right.
whole bunch of us. Maybe we ought to just do one of those things
I
and
like
let it
that.
roll. Okay. Don't you know I'm making notes now. Let me make my note.
I'm very much into that.
That's good. Oh man. So going forward, you listed off, you know, you've got China, Eastern Europe, Druids, Irish, Greece, and India, all in the pipeline.
Yes.
Now, when you say that, can you just talk about the dynamics because you are not just writing this, but you
Hmm.
are also illustrating it.
Right, right. So, again, a lot of this, well, really, all of this whole process is not just reading about the cultures, but I'm finding that I need to be in them. And so it's actually really cool. So particularly for for the China project, I have Chinese friends, and they were like, whenever you're ready for that, like just let me know because I will give you anything that you need as far as like information, culture, whatever. And so for the next few books in particular, I really want to be a part of them, and get to know the people within the culture because people are so welcoming, and especially when you express interest in who they are, it lets them know that you care and that you're sincere and you're genuine, and especially if you approach it that way. So for the Greek project, I want to be in the Greek community. For the Indian project, I really want to be involved with the various Indian South Asian communities that I can. For the Chinese one, I have that. So it's really just about immersing myself in those cultures, and also doing a ton of research as far as visual research, because these
Mm.
cultures are thousands of years old. So I'm trying to be specific about where I'm pulling from. Like Ming Dynasty art is very different from like Song Dynasty art. So paying attention to those small details will make the difference, and really will speak to the cultural authenticity that I'm trying to put into the books.
Yeah, and I wanted to say that because that's the art form of it. I think when folks get a chance to look at the characterization, even the way Malik looks, like with his hair,
Right,
and
right,
even some of the other characters, you have them in a very specific, like a cultural identity for them that seems very comfortable and very well respected. No one is kind of provided a place over another.
right, right. Yeah, that was always my goal. It was for me, my books are never about anybody being superior or anybody being better, because I truthfully, I feel like we're all in this together, and even though we don't see it that way, I think on a spiritual level we are all very connected, in ways that we can't even fathom. And so I think that when I think about how different we are, I think more so about like the ways in which we are similar and how we're more connected than we can visually kind of pick up. It's interesting. I can go really deep into that, but I think that we are all one essentially, and that our fates are really shared, whether or not we realize that or not.
Yeah, and I think the more that I think about it, I know you said realize it or not. I think that there's more of us who are purposely not looking in certain directions, don't want to realize some things. And I think that's probably
Right.
why we're in the space that we are in now.
Definitely.
When you were talking about your around the children and the response to the children,
Yeah.
I when I saw you at Artworks teaching a class, watching the children who were learning how to draw a superhero, and also
Right.
seeing and talking to a couple of their parents who were like, they've never been like this, so engaged, and this has been great. I kind of wish we could have this all the time.
Right.
How does that make you feel?
Again, that's one of those things that you can't even measure. It sounds funny, but like the best feeling to me now, because I teach on Zoom, and we'll teach a group of students, and my most recent West Windsor arts class, I at the end of the class, another teacher comes on to remind us that it's about time that we finish up. And the kids always go, "Oh man," like that to me is the best feeling. And knowing that I'm not only teaching them something valuable, but also, I mean, like, not to get into the heavier political side of things, but being a visible representation of a Black man, and a Black gay person specifically, in front of them, and being an authority figure, I think is huge, because it helps to break down in their young minds that um, you know this world has so much to offer, and the people who occupy it don't just look like you. And I love being that physical representation. So, the teaching, the aspects of them being excited about what they're learning and being excited about working with me and feeling comfortable, it's one of those things that you really can't measure.
That's amazing. And I think it was well put. I think that you were very clear. Thank you so much for that as
Thank
well.
you.
Yeah, man, I just, you know how much I adore you. I think that you're amazing and I love your artwork and I love the story behind it. And I think it's great. I just want more people to know and hear about it.
Thank
Um,
you.
you're so welcome. Um, COVID has had its impact, obvious, and I know that
Right.
everyone's expecting, the next, several weeks, months, especially on the East Coast, to kind of also be some issues. But what do you have going on currently regarding your work, and how can people, get supportive?
Yeah. So I've got a lot going on, and it's all amazing. So I just got a literary agent maybe 2 or 3 months ago, which means that now we're going to start pushing my work, to traditional publishers, like major publishers, and which means my work will start to spread everywhere it possibly can. And the great news is that the publishing house is based out in Europe, but they have a major satellite company here in the U.S. in New York. So not only will my work be pushed here in the U.S., it'll be pushed in Europe. Um, so it'll be Carefree Like Me that we're pushing, but I'm also working on a graphic novel project, which I am very excited about. I've been keeping it under wraps, but I don't want to spoil what it's about, but it really is tackling everything that I love. It involves Africa, ancient Africa. It involves magic, but it also deals with what it means to be not only a Black young person, but a Black LGBT person, and then mental health within the Black community specifically. So it's tackling a lot, but it's going to be a really, really fun project. All those themes are wrapped up into it, but the essence of it is like action and adventure and magic. So I'm very excited.
Yep. Now, yeah, I hope you guys hear my cat in the background. He's being very vocal tonight. Yeah, well, I hope he's all right. Okay. So Rashad, nice to be live, man. This is just live at home. This is great.
That was great.
Yeah. So when we look at the future of the work that you're doing,
Mhm.
do you anticipate it changing, becoming more or less digital or like video production? Like, just where do you foresee yourself going?
So, oh, and I forgot to answer your last question, but I'll come back to that. So,
Okay.
I really, really, really want to see myself moving into the animation realm of things. I wouldn't consider myself an animator, but I'm good at character design. I'm good at storytelling, and so I really foresee myself leading a team of artists and creating these worlds, but making them move. Like in my mind and how I see them, even when I just draw them, they're always moving. They're very alive to me. And so that's kind of the next step. The next step is really getting it to be animated, getting it to be in a place where it's polished enough to be presented as an animated series or an animated TV show or whatever. But that's kind of where my mind is moving next, is making them come to life for real, for real.
Yeah, that sounds exciting. Are you gonna be taking on any investors? Can people support you in some way?
Thank you. Yes. So at the moment, it's really just in the idea formation stage, but I would love to keep it indie. So I mean, like we can always pitch it to a Netflix or something. But in the meantime, like once we're at that stage, I would love to start reaching out to people, being like, hey, I have this project. Would you mind investing in it? It's supporting XYZ ABC, and really getting the support that it needs. And thank you so much for your compliments, and it's something that I've heard echoed from other people where they're like, this needs to be seen everywhere, and that's really what I want to do, is really promote that idea of healing, and empathy and emotional literacy and just caring for each other, in a real way, and spread that globally.
Gotcha. So is it okay if when I share this, I say that you can make donations to you
Oh my God,
and
that'd be
and and, and buy your books? Yeah,
yes,
that's cool.
yes, no, definitely. And I
Excellent.
forgot to give you my website too, because I know that you had asked that.
Yep. So let's give your website and also your Cash App, man. Throw that out there as well.
Sure. might as well.
Yeah, bro, I'm serious. Just let me know if they drop. Go ahead, man.
Yeah, so for sure. So my website is www. Who says that anymore? But Ramalik, RAMALIK, and then illustrations.com.
And the Cash App.
And then my Cash App is the money sign Rashad, RASHAD, M as in Mary, and then D for David.
That's it. I think that's perfect. I hope that some folks in the listening and viewing audience who, when they share this, will fall in love with you like so many have. And
Thank
yeah,
you.
and then say, look, man, how do I support Rashad in the work that he's doing? Whether it's as an illustrator, an author, an event choreographer, or whatever you want to call it, you're doing
Yeah,
some amazing things. And I can honestly say I've seen it on more than one occasion. And I think that there's a lot of people out there that don't realize that everyday people like you and I, who look like you and I, are
right.
touching so many lives in such a powerful and dynamic way. And we probably need to start looking at each other
Yeah,
more than looking,
elsewhere.
yes.
No, it's real. And this was a conversation that I was having with myself at first, but then with other people is like, there's honestly like 90% of the support for my work has come from my own community. And that's not by coincidence. And I think that people, we're so excited to see our own image and to see ourselves succeeding, and there needs to be more of that. And I think we are very willing to support each other. It's just a matter of, and this is something I've talked about, is like having a central hub where people know to go to be like, this is where I can support and know that I can support. I think that's really the issue, is that most people just don't know where to go. And actually, I do have a friend who who has a company that does centralize that. It's it's called Harlem. Wait, hold on. I need to find it now.
No, go ahead, get it.
It'll take me like 2 seconds.
All right.
Okay, it's
And
called
while
Harlem.
Rashad is looking that up, folks, I want to encourage you to absolutely get in touch with Rashad to support his work. The information will be up on the website and Facebook pages as well of how you can reach out to him on his website. But you can always Cash App him a few dollars. It's on the Cash App, Rashad, MD, RASHAD, MD. And if you keep your eye open for the books, beginning with Carefree Like Me. And did you find that?
I did. It's called
Yeah.
at Higher Harlem. So it's the at symbol on Instagram, and then HIRE, and then HARLEM.
All right.
It's a project that started in 2017 with the mission of supporting businesses that reinvest in the community and to make supporting Black, Latinx, and women-owned businesses an easy experience. So he's already on that project. So it's really cool.
That's good. That's good stuff. And thanks for sharing. I mean, because that's what this is really about. How do we come together collectively, cohesively as human beings with a
Yeah,
quality at the forefront and get this done? I mean, it is, 2020, and why are we still doing some things like we were 100 years ago? Just doesn't make a lot of sense
exactly.
to me. Anyway,
Exactly.
well, again, Rashad, thank you so much for your time, man. I love you, bro.
Love you
Um,
too.
all right, we'll be in touch. Please keep up with all the wonderful work that you're doing, and then I'll keep you posted on what else I can do to support you.
Thank you so much, friend. I really appreciate it.
All right, you got it. Folks, you've been listening and watching the Trenton 365 show, coming to you from my home, aka the studio of Amon's Brindled here in the Franklin Park section of Trenton, New Jersey, broadcasting through WIMG 1300. New Jersey's oldest radio station, and available on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at WIMG 1300, as well as WPHY, channel 25, covering Mercer County, New Jersey. Folks, it's been a great night. Hope to hear you all soon. And Rashad, take care, man. I'll talk to you soon. Bye
You
now.
too. Have a good one.